Hello, this is Mr. Maximus Film. Hello, this is Mr. Maximus Film. What you're seeing here now is Pink Floyd's Meddle, released 1971, and this is my sixth installment into my Pink Floyd discography series, their sixth album. And I've been trying to get this review done all day, but I can never get it right for some reason. I'm going to try and get it right this time. Oh god, I've tried like 6 times already. It's really hard for me to describe why I don't like this album, because I don't like this album. I think it's a very weak point in their catalog. But it does serve as sort of the bridge between Atom Heart Mother and Dark Side of the Moon. Skipping Obscured by Clouds, which I am going to review probably today as well. Don't count on that, but you should be seeing an Obscured by Cloud review soon, so I can get on to Dark Side of the Moon, which is my favorite album by Pink Floyd. But Meddle, a lot of Pink Floyd fans like Meddle. They think it's their strongest effort, but what I don't get is everybody hates Seamus. Everybody hates Seamus, and yet people call Meddle their favorite Pink Floyd album. Seamus is a weak spot. It's sort of this bluesy, sort of very weak, sort of funny blues song that doesn't really need to be there. It's only about 2 minutes. It's really pointless. Saint-Tropez as well. Saint-Tropez is a sort of jazzy song on the first side of the album, and there's really no point to it as well. There's a lot of filler tracks that really don't leave an impression on you. And my problems with the other track on the first side of the album, because the first side of the album is just a bunch of songs, and then the second side is one long piece called Echoes. The first side has a lot of, all the tracks except for Fearless have this sort of weakness. With One of These Days, it's sort of the fact that it takes forever to get into, to soar. At the ending, it sort of soars and takes off into this really nice sort of psychedelic jam, but it takes about 3 minutes to get into that. It's very boring. Lots of weird swooshes and sound effects that really don't leave an impression on me. A Pillow of Winds, he's just 5 minutes bore fest. I mean, it's really gentle, it's really acoustic. It could be great if it took off in the middle. Like, it's 5 minutes of the same blah sort of thing. This album is very blah. There's not a lot of nice textures in this album, in my opinion. It's all sort of just, meh. Fearless, it's fantastic on the other hand. Fearless is the best song on this album. I love the mix of acoustic and electric instrumentation. David Gilmour and Richard Wright do perfect harmony vocals on that song. So I think that song's really fantastic. It's really the nice strong point on this album. And then we get to Echoes. When I first listened to Echoes, I loved it. One of my favorite Pink Floyd songs when I first listened to it. But I think people give it a lot more credit than it deserves. Anything on Dark Side of the Moon is better than Echoes, in my opinion. Or on this album, even Fearless. Dark Side of the Moon is far superior to this. And Echoes, while it puts Pink Floyd in the right directions, the first side of the album feels like, oh no, we're back to that point where they don't really know what they're doing. On the second side of the album, you sense that, yeah, they're starting to get a bit more progressive. They're starting to figure out what kind of band they're going to be. But yet, at the same time, there's a lot of boring places. After it opens with this ping, which is sends chills down my spine. And then after this sort of submarine intro, it gets into this vocal section with David Gilmour and Richard Wright again, which is phenomenal. It's really one of the first examples of Roger Waters talking about the human nature and stuff. It's really nice. But after that, it gets into a very long David Gilmour guitar solo, which, in my opinion, is nice, but you could have cut that down a bit. Then it gets into a funk jam, sort of like Atom Heart Mother, and I love Pink Floyd funk jams. They're really nice, and I really enjoy that. And then it gets into this whale song, which is just a bunch of piercing whale noises the entire time for about 3 minutes. Maybe I'm getting that wrong, but it feels like hours. It feels very long, and you don't need that. A lot of people says it takes you on a journey, but if it doesn't sound good, I don't want that in my music, in the music that I'm listening to. So I really don't enjoy that. Then I think it comes back to focus at the end, with a reprise of the original vocal part with Richard Wright and Dave Gilmour. It's a really nice ending to the song. But that whale part is really a really bad spot in the album. So my qualms with this album would have to be that a lot of the tracks are just sort of there. They're kind of meh. There's nothing really going on with them. There's nothing interesting about them. Saint-Tropez, Seamus, One of These Days, for the most part, and A Pillow of Winds, which is, a good 3 out of the 5 tracks on this album. I think there's 5 tracks. Am I right about that? 6 tracks. Sorry about that. That's about half the album that I'm not really a fan of. It could have been a good album. Pink Floyd could have, tried to concentrate the music a bit more and make it soar a bit more with Pillow of Winds, make it a very soaring part, make it the chorus really good, but they didn't, and that's my problem with it. And Echoes, after the first time you listen to it, it does get a bit boring, just like the rest of the album. So Echoes is not one of their best songs, in my opinion. It is a good song. I would recommend listening to it, but at the same time, it isn't their best, in my opinion. They do have better work. Do not hate on me for hating this album. It's just my opinion. Music is subjective. We can all like, different musics, and we can all prefer different albums. I do not care for this album, and that's why I give it a 5 out of 10. Because, no, not a 5. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Because of the soft spots that I pointed out. And this album does not stay in my head very well. It doesn't make me want to listen to it again. I do never come back to this album. So I'll give it 6 out of 10. It's I'm being generous with that. Pardon that noise. But going over the packaging, the cover is kind of meh along with the overall feel of the album. It's an ear. Not one of their best covers. It is interesting though. If you don't actually see the entire thing, you will think, "What the heck is this?" But it actually is an ear. On the inside, it's an iconic photo of the band. That's Roger Waters, Nick Mason, David Gilmour, and Richard Wright. A little track listings right there. So it's a pretty simple packaging. And that is Meddle by Pink Floyd. I will try to get an Obscured by Cloud review done soon, and I'm going to show at the end of each of my videos. I'm going to just share what albums I have bought, and I want your opinions, whether you want me to review them or you would want me to review other stuff you suggested. Just post in the comments what you want me to review next, along with the Pink Floyd. I got Led Zeppelin 3 and Blind Faith at Best Buy the other day. Best Buy actually has a wide variety of CDs. Who knew? And I bought these two. I've listened to both today. They were both pretty good, actually. So tell me if you want me to review any of those or any of the others I've talked about reviewing. I've talked about reviewing In Rainbows for a while now. Jeff Buckley as well. I just haven't gotten the time to, because there's a lot of good albums out there that I could review. But yeah, these two are pretty solid albums. The first listen, at least. So yeah, Pink Floyd, Meddle. This is Mr. Maximus Film. I will see you guys later.